Number one issue that I hear with employees who are returning back to work, who work in an office, who have to spend time in any sort of work at all is the following. I wish I could just show up to work and work. Like it is the number one complaint that I have. It is has to do with the number of distractions that go on there, but also just man, it's just the inability for folks to be able to just come in and focus. And by distractions, we're going to look at an article today that covers a bunch of, what they talk about with distractions, but think about your daily lives as a whole. How often do we have the phone, phone notifications going off, the phone ringing, texting? We've got, I don't know, people annoying us on the phone as a whole, the computers coming up with emails, just across the board. There's distractions everywhere. And one of the things we're just going to get into that here. Additionally, we're also going to be talking about on a different subject today is 401k hardship withdrawals. They are on the rise and they have been for a bit. That is one of those symptoms that we are always on the lookout for how bad things are really getting out there. And that's definitely going to be the case going forward for a bit, I think, for the near future, more and more of these 401k hardship withdrawals. And that's not a good thing because there are penalties you have to pay, et cetera. And we'll get into that here again. So I'm back from California. It's nice to be back out here again and just be on back in Michigan. Got some time in the garden yesterday. Caught up with the wife. Did some mushroom hunting. The wife, she got out there get some morel mushrooms. So that was fun. But yeah, so again, for those that don't know, you're hopping in like, what in the heck is this guy talking about here? I'm a business coach that works out of West Michigan and around the country. Like I said, I just got back from working with a new client down in San Francisco. And yeah, I come here live pretty consistently every single day to share just some of the information I share with my clients. A lot of the information I share is macro level type stuff with my clients that I don't necessarily bring here, but there's other aspects here that are relevant across the board. And I want to make sure that we have this for you here. So let's get into this first bit here. And again, I hope to earn your subscription today. Again, I appreciate everybody who has taken the time to hit subscribe. It's awesome. So thank you. Links to all the articles we're going to discuss today and we're going to look at are going to be in the description. So be sure to check those out. This is from Fast Company. I love Fast Company, the way they write here. They're always interesting. Now, I've been sitting on this one for the previous one on the 401k for a little bit. This one's relatively new. This is a report from Microsoft. Workers are interrupted up to 275 times a day. That's a lot. Now we'll take a look at what that means by interruptions here, but it's a thing, folks. It happens pretty consistently. And what we want to do is find a way to mitigate that, obviously. Like I said, that's what causes people not wanting to come back in the office. When you're working at home, you can minimize those right? Look at all these people not being interrupted, but they're all hanging out in one spot. All right. Pavitra Mohan, I think is how you pronounce that name. It's an article by them. Even as the right to disconnect movement has picked up steam, true work-life balance is hard to come by for many employees. I would say for the vast majority of employees, work-life balance is something that just doesn't exist in the way that we'd like it to. And I mean, that's going to be the thing though, folks. That's almost always going to be the thing where we have the thing that you are depending on for work kind of important. You know what I mean? So, all right. Make sure I'm up here. Okay, cool. All right. I'm just checking out my frame rate here. Okay, it looks good. Now, fielding emails and other work-related messages after hours continues to be the norm across workplace. I recommend you don't do that. You just don't. If you're an employee, you can set that boundary with your boss. I work on that with my clients. Now, it decreases productivity and burnout. That's the main reason why. Now, part of the issue may be that the average workday is punctuated by a mounting number of drains on productivity. A new report from Microsoft, which compiled input from 31,000 workers across more than 30 countries, sheds light on the scale of interruptions and hurdles workers are constantly facing on the job, as well as the degree to which the average workday has stretched beyond the traditional business hours. That's a lot of folks. That's a lot of folks I got with, and I think it's going to be interesting. The price of near constant interruptions. 53% of leaders say they want to see a spike in productivity. That number's higher. They're just simply saying, hey, we'd like, I guarantee that's higher, but that's what they responded in. And the overwhelming majority of employees and managers alike, 80% globally, claim they don't have enough the time or energy to effectively do their job. I'll go back to that here. It's just, if their job was better clearly defined, then yes, they would have plenty of time. The issue is that the vast majority of businesses don't have the jobs clearly defined for their folks. Like, that's kind of the difference there. Okay. All right. Employees say that, checking up here. Just looking at my stream here and make sure we're good. All right. Sorry about that. I had a little note come up here. Now, that can amount to 275 daily interruptions a whole. I mean, you think about all this stuff that they get into here with the juggling emails, get real-time messages about every 2 minutes. Like, that's just nuts that we have to deal with for folks here. 275 daily interruptions. In fact, the report also captures a marked increase in the number of pings that workers receive after hours. Chats outside the 9 to 5 window increased by 15% year over year, with an average of 58 messages when tallied over the course of 4 weeks. That's wild. One of the things that I coach my the business owners and the companies that I work with is that if you need to know something, it has to be like life, limb, or eyesight, or the company's going out of, like, the business is going to go, the company is going to go out of business. Like, that's the level that we're looking at here, folks, for importance. We don't want it to be anything crazier than that. Now, definitely want to make sure that you are responding to, customer stuff. But end of the day, if you have a question, I always say just send it in, write the email, and then schedule it to be delivered first thing in the morning. Don't send it, have it scheduled. And that will help your employees to be like, okay, all right, we're not sending it. I want them to see it first thing. Well, just do it on your part and schedule it. Don't do it right off the bat. Now, expanding workday. Even meetings appear to be happening around the clock. Ugh, gross. Meetings that take place after 8 p.m. increased by 16% year over year. Now, okay, real quick on that. The meetings that if it's because you have clients that are in different time zones, that's a different piece. It's understood you're going to adjust your workday. But if you are, and they say 30% of meetings, again, different time zones, but I've seen this here. Part of the shift also could be driven by the fact that the majority of meetings, 60%, are unscheduled and convened on an ad hoc basis. Boo to that. And that's something my clients, we work on consistently. Like, hey, meetings should be scheduled. Folks, there should be again, within reason, that there should be no reason not to have your meeting scheduled at least a day or two in advance. You got to give people a chance to balance their time. And managers, come back to this in a second. Managers, if you are constantly, hey, let's get a 15-minute huddle together. Hey, I need to talk to everybody, get in here, and it's not scheduled, you're not doing your job right. Like, just period, dot. You aren't. As a middle manager or a senior VP, whatever you are, that's your fault. You need to have scheduled meetings so your folks can manage their time. That's the issue that we're running into here right now, is that you just aren't doing it right. I want you to do better. Okay. So let's keep at it. All right. Now, also of note, the number of PowerPoint edits jumped by, here's one that's just annoying. The number of PowerPoint edits jumped by 122% in the 10 minutes leading up to a meeting, a stark contrast to PowerPoint activity in the hours prior. I can't think of anything. I can think of a lot of stuff worse, don't get me wrong, but just in an office environment, I can't think of just anything be just more disheartening than anything that is more disheartening than having to go make last minute adjustments to your PowerPoint because you didn't have enough time or whatever it is to get stuff done. It's just annoying. So one of the issues we want to get into here is that to solve this problem, to go back over here, the way that we solve this problem with my clients, I'm going to turn that off. I don't want that thing bouncing up every time. Hold on real quick. That's this guy. We're going to make you go away. Okay. One of the things we talk about with my clients specifically is how to coordinate and manage their day. There's a cutoff for information. when you go into a meeting, there should be no expectation that you have up to the minute, like up to the second data, unless you have a dashboard where it's naturally collected. But even then, we want to have cutoffs for the data so we can measure it against the previous cutoff. That's a really important piece here, where many business owners, many people who are managing their businesses don't get that quite straight. They're not thinking about that the right way. And this is a big part. If you're having a number of times where I've come into organizations where people are banging their heads against the wall, working through, you know, working through the evening, but then having to race last second to get PowerPoints updated for a meeting. No, that stuff should be done the day before or whatever for the meeting, and then just there. All right. And this is kind of the crux of this first part of the conversation here. Is just that, folks, you need to have a rhythm to when your data's due. You need to have a rhythm to when your meetings are happening. And you need to just understand there will be cutoffs as of a certain time. It's okay if you have data that's a day old. Even 2 days is fine. You need to learn to operate that way. And this is one of the problems that managers have. I've had this talk about managers for a very long time. Managers want to have control over every aspect of what's going on, and so they can make the best possible decision. And that you're never going to do that. You want to make the least worst decision that you can make. And when it comes to being a manager, what you need to have your goals where you're heading towards, and you have your set of, we always talk about core values, but you have your axioms that you make decisions off of. The decision should never be, do I need to make sure I have every single piece of data in order to make the decision? It's, hey, does the data we currently have, is it in alignment with where we are expecting things to go? If so, continue on with it. If not, hey, let's pause for a moment, get a little, and validate that this data is actually skewing this direction. The number of people I know that they will not continue, like the data will show that stuff's going in the right direction and things are improving, but because they're missing out on 2 to 3 of their 20 data points, they won't let people continue because they want to wait to make sure. Forget that noise, guys. That's the difference between leading and managing. Okay, leading, you know where you're going and you've got your destination figured out. Managing is about status quo. And for most managers on this part here, it's a difficult jump for them to make towards leadership and just trusting that, hey, I've made a decision, we got to see it through. Okay. All right. So with that, as managers, what you can do, and leaders, this is the best known practice for this, to cut down and let your people work. Have specific days and times that data will be updated in the system. So there's a due date and due time. So let's say every day that there's a certain amount of work done by your folks. Rather than asking them 3 or 4 times, hey, what have you been working on? What's been going on? You can set it where 3 p.m. every day, people have to have their information updated in the system. Right? That's what you want to see. So that way at 3:05, if you don't see the data updated, you can poke your folks, say, hey, to make sure you get, what's been going on. I don't see it updated. But you leave them alone throughout the day so that they can work, and then they update it at 3 o'clock, whatever time works for you. I cannot overstate how just important that is, but it's a best known practice. So that way you as the manager are not freaking out and wondering what's going on. You're going to get an update at the end of the day. If you want to have an update midday, fine. Just make sure that it's known for the folks, and that then you leave them alone until the update's done. You have an 11:30 and you have a 3:30 update, whatever it is. If you start doing that, and that has to start from the top down, then everything, that's going to cut down on distractions as a whole for folks. The other piece that I talk to individuals about is turn off the notifications on your email, and only check your email a couple times a day. Have specific times that you'll be checking your email. Set up rules for your email that will push certain emails into certain folders to help you quickly identify what you have to have. And again, we all got AI is jumping into our email. Start using it to summarize what's going on and find the stuff that's important. Okay. All right, so let's get into the next spot here, which is going to be, this is something that I'm seeing, and this is for the business owners, but also just for employees out there, something to keep in mind. we are seeing this starting to jump up a bit more consistently now, which is more Americans tapping into their 401k emergency retirement for emergency funds. I mean, we all don't look like this, but we are. Let me make this a little bit bigger here. There we go, a little bit bigger. When we're talking about your 401k, people that are tapping into that, that's a concern. All right. That is money that it's not so much that they're getting the money. That's something where you can't help expenses come up. That should be a signal to you. Hey, do I need to get a better emergency fund? Do I need to do certain things? Right. That's what should be signaling. But on the flip side of that, what you should be looking at on that is the signals like, what is going on that these folks are doing this? And also the fact that you pay a penalty when you pull that money out early. That's one of the concerns. So let's take a look at this here and some of the reasons that they have. And again, we'll hit the summary on this. I don't think we're going to read through the whole article. The link's in the description. I want to read the whole thing, but I want to hit the summary here. We got Vanguard examined the data of nearly 5 million people enrolled in 401k plans. In 2024, 4.8% took out hardship withdrawals, which is a 1.2% percentage point jump from 2023. All right, so that's 25% up. Is basically what that means. That's not an insignificant jump. Financial hardships include eviction, home foreclosure, medical expenses, and other factors. And this is just where I want to get to for the business owners and for folks out there. HR, if you are seeing an increase in people asking to be able to withdraw money from their 401k, you need to get with your benefits people and start the deeper conversations with your folks about financial counseling. I guarantee you, your local benefits provider for your company has access to financial counselors for your folks. It'll probably be virtual. They may, if you're a smaller business or even smaller, like a local office, they're going to have somebody local. They might even be able to come into the business and offer some financial counseling for your folks. It is getting tough out there. I cannot overstate it. And we all know it's tough. Like, you go to the grocery store, it's still expensive as hell to go get anything done. Like, the grocery, it's doubled basically groceries in the last 3 years. I mean, I can speak to myself on that. It's doubled. And that's not a small hit. So what I want everybody to do when it comes to this here is you should be looking out for each other. If you know of someone in your office that is thinking about pulling out money from their 401k, because there's a penalty, you've got to pay, a early withdrawal fee. I think it's like 10% that you got to pay on your taxes. You really should be I don't want to say this here, inspiring them to go to HR and go talk to a financial counselor, because something's going on in their lives that they need assistance with. What we also want to do, and this is important, make sure that you are, if it's happening for yourself, get with a financial counselor for yourself. Just so you can see what's going on. I'm looking around here to see if I have a copy here. I don't, but when I was 25 or 26 with my wife, we started with Dave Ramsey. I just wanted to stop. I wanted to stop having debt. Not a big fan of it. So we started with Dave Ramsey because we were broke. I was in the military. I had 2 kids, wife, broke, zero money. I had zero monies, not even little monies, zero monies. It was the negative monies. Definitely more month than paycheck most of the time. So we worked hard to get our finances in order and get them squared away. But I had to go to Dave Ramsey, but I also talked to a financial counselor to make sure I understood what was going on. So this is a worry. It's a worry. So business owners, your HR folks need to be giving you heads up on anytime someone is, it is a privacy issue. Be clear on this, what's going on, but but it's something we want you to be keeping an eye on for your folks. It's an indicator. 1, is there something you can do with pay? But 2, get them with a financial counselor. Okay. Beat that up enough here. I've seen that with so many of my clients. I cannot overstate that they don't think it's their place to talk to their folks and just offer it at large to everyone, and then have your HR folks just mention it to people when they're pulling stuff out. So, all right. Beyond that, folks, that's all I got for you today. hopefully we're going to see some stuff turn around here, but hope is not something that we want to plan on. As I mentioned on a previous live stream that I did the other day when I was in the airport, these there's more people getting ready to pour into the workforce because of this, because of the financial constraints that are going on right now. It is about to get dicey out there. So do what you can. What can you control? If there's ability for you to stop spending on certain things, streaming, cut back on your streaming, find a way to reduce your cable bill, all the stuff we talk about. Anything you have discretionary money out there, start doing it now. You want to be out in front of this, and then once everything turns around here, hopefully soon, we can get back into things. But this is the part where you're supposed to be doing the hedgehog stuff. Make sure you're taken care of. Take care of yourself, then you can take care of others. All right, so again, I appreciate everybody who hung out today. Again, hopefully I earned your subscription. If you'd like to learn more about how I help businesses grow faster than you ever thought possible, be sure to check out Summit Business Guide.